What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We're doing another testimonial. And today we have joining us John. And John, where are you located, by the way?
I'm right outside of Baltimore.
Awesome. So John from Baltimore. So without taking too much of your time, John, I know you got a meeting coming up. Let's go ahead and dive into this. How long have you been with Enopoly?
Roughly, I think it's probably like 60 days, maybe a little bit over that, something like that.
That's such a short experience. Okay.
No,
All
I
right,
mean
so
it is overall, yeah, yeah.
okay, so about 60 days in, share with me what kind of experience have you had with us so far?
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been great. I think the communication's always been pretty good. I worked a lot with Caleb on the front end. He was willing to answer a lot of phone calls because obviously I had a lot of, I think, hesitation when it comes to, high ticket items online. I'm sure you guys run into that all the time. He answered all the questions. I had, 20, 30 phone calls, questions, texts, what have you, to just kind of keep digging and get comfortable with it. So I think the front end, that was very comfortable, which made me sign on because I interviewed with probably 10 or 15 other companies that I just didn't ever get to that level of comfort with. And then as far as the service, everything's been great. Get monthly reports, get good communication as far as the invoices and purchases and things that are going on, and have a pretty good eye on everything that's going on in the business as well.
And so you mentioned you talked to like 10 other companies. What made you pull the trigger with us?
So I mean, I come kind of from a background of business development, more in like the healthcare space, and so I've got comfortable over the years, I think, in like vetting out, BS versus things that are real. And so like some of the companies I talked with didn't seem to really get good, legitimate answers to questions that I had. It'd be like kind of just screen caps of stuff, not live looks at stores.
So just kind of describe the experience that you had from setup to where you are now.
Sure. The setup, is just a lot of housekeeping, I think, on the front end. So there's not tons of activity as far as like sales on the front end, of course, because there is some lag, from setting up LLCs and bank accounts, working with getting kind of credit for working capital for the inventory purchases, just a lot of that kind of fun stuff. And not to mention you guys buying product, the amount of time it takes for you all to get the product in and then get it to the store. But then, so the start, and not to mention, like, I kind of dragged my feet. I had a couple of vacations at the start, to be honest with you. So if you look at my store, my first 4 to 5 weeks looks pretty lame. And you're probably like, oh, that's ramp up time. But in all reality, it wasn't ramp up time. It looks so small because my first two inventory purchases with you guys were just cash out of pocket because I didn't apply for any credit because I was out of town for about 3 weeks.
Mhm.
And then when I came back, I got the credit cards rolling and started going with everything. But yeah, I mean, everything as far as that, like, it ramped pretty quickly. As soon as things actually made it to the store, I mean, it certainly exceeded my expectations as far as how quickly you all can move products.
Well, and so everyone is aware that's watching this, John spends money, okay, real amounts of money on products. So when we get to results or when you're hearing him say how fast we ramped it up, is because he spent quite a bit of money on inventory. So not everyone experiences that. John is in the higher performing stores just because he's willing to spend a lot of money up front, just so you guys understand that. Now, mentioning results and mentioning anything, disclaimer, guys, what you will see or what you may have seen is not relevant to what you will see. Past results do not guarantee future returns. This is a business and it comes with risk. Assume all business risk when it comes to this business. You or John or anyone else can lose all of your money. This is a business and you should treat it as such. Okay, we got the boring stuff out of the way. Getting into this, John, do I have your permission to share your store on this webinar?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, now we're inside of John's store. Looks like you already made some sales today. $900 for the day so far. Let's kind of look at your experience year to date. So this store is extremely new. We're about to confirm, but so about 60 days in. Launched in October. Do you remember what day it was?
I mean, I think like the very first sale I had was like super late September. Like I think I had one or two sales on like September 29th or something like that.
You
So
know, all your sales start October, so there's nothing in
is it?
September so far.
Maybe that was my first invoice then. Maybe I had like I think like the number I have in my head for some reason, the date is like September 29th. I think that might have been my
That
first
that would that would
invoice.
make sense because that's the reason you would start selling October. So you started buying products in September,
Well,
and then October you started making some sales, which is what you see right now, 1,500 the first month, completely normal. Let's see if it's even the whole entire month you started or when you started in October.
and like I said, I also bought very, very, very low inventory my first 3 weeks, which also will offset it a little bit just because my first two invoices, my first month, I think I spent around 5,000 and
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, baby numbers.
yep.
So yeah, so we started October 10th was your first sale. And then if you look at year to date so far, we're at $55,000 in sales starting October, November, and we're what? We're halfway through December as of right now. So very, very fast growth in your store. Um, Talk about John, talk about how that makes you feel.
Well, it's definitely addicting because like having the app on the phone, it's funny, like I have a business coach for other businesses. Obviously, I don't have a lot of involvement on this one, but I've got other businesses that I do. And I've got a coach, and it's actually one of the distractions we're talking about right now is that I open up my phone to look at my Amazon Seller Central all day so I can refresh and be like, oh, 9 sales, ooh, 10 sales, ooh, 11 sales. It's gone up a little bit, so I can like look at the items. So like that's really the big fun part about it, I think, is kind of looking at that day over day. And like I had one very big day recently as well, which was very exciting. I had a single order. Somebody placed a $6,000 order, which was, I'm sure it's rare, but put the disclaimer out there again. But at the same time, it was very exciting to see. But overall, definitely, it's a very fun experience.
And do you happen to know your profit margin on a store?
Yeah, I think last time that I looked at it, I believe it was like around 13%, something like that.
Your cash and cash is probably around like 20%,
Okay.
in that ballpark, like the cash you spent and the actual profit. That's really what matters. A lot of people look at it from the sales, but like there's so many fees in the sales, right?
Yeah.
Has this changed your life in any way, your understanding? I know you don't need the money that you make from the store, but has this changed your life in any way?
I definitely think that it will, absolutely. Because for us, we have a 10-month-old at home right now. And that was some of the reasons for it was like, hey, I need some passive income to make sure that we're covering the new bills and things like that that are coming along. So that was one of our big reasons for it. So yeah, I definitely think it will make an impact. It's still early enough now that it's mostly just kind of those excitements, those nervousness, as
Yeah.
far as like kind of both sides of it. But it's going again, exceeding expectation at the time.
Does this take more time out of your day, or does real estate take more time out of your day?
Oh, real estate's, yeah, a whole lot more time. You know, I I I think that you have the option to completely remove yourself from this and do absolutely nothing. I get probably a little bit more involved. To be honest, like I cross my T's and dot my I's, and I've double checked you guys. Like I'll reconcile my invoices and I'll reconcile my shipments and things like that just to make sure that like everything's above board. Because again, there's like that nervousness of starting with somebody new, but everything's always looked clean and the products are always there and all the invoices are correct and there's no issues that I've had to date. All the invoices have been correct, all the shipments have been correct as
Yeah,
far.
and about give another like month or two, and you stop doing that.
Oh, and I will. But when you first start, there's like that nervousness, a little
Right,
bit of like,
right.
oh man, I really want to double check this. But no, it'll definitely fall off, and I'll stop doing it because I don't want to do it, and there'll be a little bit deeper of a trust built
Yeah,
between us.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And when it comes to a new person coming into Inopoly, do you have any recommendations, in any sort of way for them?
I think the biggest thing for me, in all honesty, is that like I interviewed a number of companies. There's companies that are certainly cheaper. There's some companies that are more expensive. It's a high ticket item, but for me, it's not so much. It's value. It's not the price. I think yeah, it's high ticket. It's an expensive item, but overall, I think the value is 100% there, and it was for me even before I signed on board, which is why I was willing to spend more, is because got to meet and talk the team quite a bit and see some of the back end process and things like that. And it's just the one that made me feel the most comfortable with my investment. And so I think that's kind of the biggest thing I would say to anybody is that, I've looked into companies that like, I won't name it. I probably shouldn't on this video, but I looked into a different company. We'll just call them company X, and they wanted whatever it was, half the fee or something like that. Well, they're out of business now, 6 months later, and I see that they're out of the space and they're gone and there's people screaming and crying about it. And so it's kind of like for me, I wanted to make sure that the investment went into a better company that's got a good solid foundation.
Which makes it 10 times more expensive for us
Sure.
to run, but because we were doing it the right way, it's completely worth it. So also, I wish you would have said this, but I'll say it on your behalf.
Yeah.
Recommendation: spend money when we send invoices. That way you get results like John.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and I can tell you right now, it's one of the biggest things. Like if nobody's had, like, I had an inventory business before, so I can stomach the idea of you have to spend a ton of money to build a great big inventory, and then you sell it off and you make some profit margin. I think people that aren't used to or accustomed to an inventory business might be like, oh man, I'm spending
Mhm.
$50,000 in this inventory, and I'm only making X dollars off of it. But it's kind of like, yeah, that's how inventory businesses run. We used to have a pharmacy and we'd spend $700,000-800,000 a week, and we're making 7 or 8% off of it. But like that was kind of the nature of the business, and that's how it worked. So it's kind of the same thing, is that, yeah, any single time I got a big payment just recently. As soon as I got it, I immediately paid off my credit card and immediately gave it back to the team. Guys, I paid off 17K. Please spend the 17K as quickly as you can. Like, give me more invoices, because it's weird to think that way, but invoices equals money.
Right.
The more inventory I buy and put in the store, the more money I make. So for me, I'm trying to spend as quickly as humanly possible so that I can get the money back in as quickly as humanly possible. The only worry I ever had was, can you guys move the inventory fast enough? And I
Yeah.
think obviously the numbers here are showing that it's moving again past my expectation.
Yeah. And just so everybody understands, we build a full blown out retail business. Not every single product will sell multiple times a day or every single day. Sometimes we do buy products in advance. So like our higher net worth clients, for getting ready for Christmas season, we were buying products for them already in July and August, waiting for Christmas, right? For the higher net worth clients, because we then could buy out that inventory at cheaper prices, sit in it for a few months, and then we'll have a cheaper price and a higher profit margin than every other Amazon seller if there is stock available. So there's definitely lots of strategies that goes into building a successful business. But yes, inventory does move typically relatively fast, anywhere from 30 to 90 days sellout time from normal purchases. And then obviously we get into some crazier stuff if you have more working capital, just so you guys are clear. Well, that's all I had for questions for you, John. Thank you so much for hopping on and sharing your success with us. Those of you that have any questions or want to get involved, there's going to be a link somewhere on this video, especially if it's on YouTube, it's going to be down below. Click the link, submit your application, and book a call with a team. Talk later. Bye, guys.